Hello, my name is Hersh,
And I'm Quay.
and this is the HERShyt Show. A little bit about it, and you're gonna laugh, you're gonna cry, you'll probably cuss at me, but that's all right. I just want to bring to you the realization of what's really going on in this world that a lot of people are afraid to speak on. Enjoy. Welcome to this week's The HERShyt Show, where I have the honor of speaking with author Marthe Cherubin. Cherubin, and she's going to shoot me through the internet because I messed it up. But go ahead and explain the actual saying of your name because you are Haitian.
Yes.
So,
I'm Haitian American. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So how do you say your name?
Well, it's Marthe Cherubin.
Cherubin. There it goes.
Like the cherubs. So it's like, the cherubs, it actually means that, like angels. Yeah. So you know how like cherubim and English angels, but the French version of it is cherubin with an N. It also means angel.
Oh, that is beautiful. I never even would have thought about it like that.
Yeah.
But it's Marthe, not Martha, like I kept saying.
Yes, people do that a lot. I think what happens, people start seeing the spelling of it. They just went for it. Because usually her brain, they get the first few letters and they went for it. It just kind of fills in the blank.
Yeah, instead of Marthe, you're like, Martha, it's Martha. Yes. But where are you from, Miss Marthe?
I'm Haitian. I was born and raised in Haiti. And, I grew up, most part of my life in Haiti and here. So right now I'm currently a Haitian American. Here in the US.
And you're married and you have a lovely son named Ethan.
Yes. That's right. It's actually this book is actually based on him. I actually have two children. I have Ethan and I have a baby.
I saw that when you was doing the little shaky
Yes.
with your book signing. You had a baby bump.
Yes, I did.
So not only are you an author, but you also have a podcast.
Yes, I do. The name of the podcast is Things Nobody Tells You About. It's actually, it's about things in pregnancy that nobody tells women about. Because, So I actually had it. It was eventually was in all the platform. I recently, right now it's currently only on YouTube.
Okay.
Yes.
It's only on YouTube right now, but I'm going to have that link from you so we can go ahead and do it because a lot of women, I know when I was pregnant with my son, I had no clue what was going on.
And which is crazy because I have a lot of sisters and I think that, and I was surprised and I knew a lot. I mean, my background, I worked a lot. I did a lot of therapy with like young kids, like babies or kids I do behavior modification. That's what I normally do with children and families and teenagers and adults. So I know a lot about children, some like the basic concept and children about that. And I grew up around a lot of women. I knew a lot about children and stuff like that and my sisters, but yet there are certain things that you'd think because of my exposure, you think I'd know about, but I did not, which was surprising to me. I'm like, wait, why didn't you people tell me? I'm like, tell me things.
I'm going to tell you a really funny story. When I went into labor with my son, mind you, he was 2 weeks overdue. Mm-hmm. But when I went into labor with my son, he still did not want to come out. They had to do the busting of the rest of the water to come out and force me to go into pool.
He was way too comfortable in there, huh?
Oh yeah, he wasn't trying to come out at all. He was
like, nope. I'm good where I'm at. I don't want to come.
But the part that they never told me was you actually go into labor twice because you have to push out the placenta. Mm-hmm. No, that was not pre-warned on that. So yeah, I found out the hard way. And why don't doctors tell women that when
I don't know. I feel like because one of the things I think that got me started with the podcast, and I feel like there's a lot of stuff. One of the main reason I feel like it's because if they told a lot of women this, some of them might have thought twice before they had children. Because if you like the whole thing, I feel like it's a conspiracy with nature and nurture. Because after you had the kid, your body forgets. It forgets after a while, like you're like, what happened? And like when you're pregnant, you're like, oh my goodness, I did it again. I said I wasn't going to. I feel like it's a nature, and also like people want to make sure that women, we keep our population going. They don't tell us certain things, otherwise we're like, oh no, we don't want to do that.
I don't want no
This
part
is not
of
for
that.
me, because I feel like little things like it's and I for me, I'm very passionate about this because I feel like we should like the fact that there are so many. We're in this country where we're always talking about children and family, what's important, family values, and this and that. But yet, I feel like we have our policies and rules are very hostile toward women and families. And
Yes.
like, if you, like, for example, like kids going to school, like, why don't we have free lunch? You said to the children, help us raise those children.
And our tax dollars are paying for that school system.
Exactly. About 70% of I know in my town anyway, about 70% of our taxes, it goes to the school system, and you think like something like that, like little things. I feel like, so if we say we value women, like maternity leave, why are we getting 6 weeks? Like, why do we have to not get paid for another few weeks if we want to stay longer? Why can't we do 6 months? You're saying it's important to breastfeed, but you can't like at work, there's like so many things they tell you to do, but yet like what they're telling you to do and what they are actually allowing you to do are two different things.
But in a lot of powers to be actually are the men that want to tell women about our bodies, knowing doggone well until
Exactly.
I want to go up to them and say, hey, bro, when you have some period cramps
Okay.
or pop out a baby, or, your nipple is leaking in the middle of the day kind of deal.
Having a conversation like, oh, oops, okay. It just like comes out.
Yeah, but women should be birthing and popping them out, understandably so. And birthing is a beautiful thing, but there are quite a lot of things that they do not tell women when you get pregnant. Mm-hmm. The body and not every pregnancy is the same. I didn't have morning sickness.
Yeah, it's not the same. Even though for me with my my son and my daughter, it was completely different with him. And it's like sometimes like people say, well, we've done this before. Yeah, but each kid, like the children are different, the pregnancies are different, and the way of what you feel about, you might have a general concept, your body is a bit more familiar with, because for example, one of the things, like the amount of weight you might gain might be quicker with the second one because your body is used with the being the idea of being expended really quickly. They already know that, they just went right back into shape, like for the baby and stuff. But apart from that, like the way, like whether you, like you said, morning sickness or different things, just completely different. Like with my son, I had a very, very pleasant pregnancy. I mean, I rarely had morning sickness. When I did, I would eat an apple and it's gone. I was a bit more active. I worked all the way through maybe about like almost like 9 months. And I was like walking almost an hour a day. It was, I mean, barely. I was an hour. It took me 2 hours to do an hour. But I was walking, I was walking. Yeah. So it was working. So I was doing that and stuff. And, I gained maybe about like 23, 25 pounds and stuff like that. And I was able to like snap back into shape not too long after him. With her, I gained 50.
Well, they do say that being pregnant with little girls likes to take the beauty and life out of the mom for some reason. I don't.
Yeah, it's like like with her, like the first 3 months, I could not eat. Like I was like starved, but the only thing I could eat, I was like maybe a little cup, like not even cup, like maybe something like that. I don't know. Like people are listening, did not see my hands. Like it's just a little bit, like a little tiny, not even a cup, barely a cup, maybe a 25% of a cup of rice, a couple of carrots, and some string beans. And then I survived on cashew nuts. Did she? 3 months. I was so hungry all the time. I was hungry. I was tired. I was hangry.
But still, you gained 50 pounds with her.
Yes, that was like from like the first. I lost 10 pounds the first 3 months. I lost 10 pounds the first 3 months. And I was like, I couldn't really do anything. The only time I felt comfortable was when I was sleeping.
Wow.
I was so uncomfortable all the time because I was hungry. I mean, and the baby was thriving. I was hungry all the time. She was like, okay, I got mine. So you figure it out, mommy. Figure
it out, but make sure you have my rice on deck.
I mean, true Haitian. She got her right. She was like, "That's right, mama. You know, this is how we roll."
That is now. Is she a picky eater now?
No, I actually mainly breastfeed. Really,
Oh
like
wow.
she's 9 months old right now. You know, like the cute little chubby cheeks and chubby legs, and she's great. I mean, I did the same thing. I breastfed my son for like
Yeah.
18 months. And
Yeah.
right now she's 9 months. I'm breastfeeding her too. Like I did with my son, the first I exclusively breastfed up until like 12 months. And I think when she was 9 months, I think maybe I started giving maybe a little cereal here and there, but mainly breastfeeding with her. I did the same thing. So I'm just grateful I'm able to do that.
Yeah, because I was just about to say that. That's another thing you can bring up on the podcast too. As far as not a lot of women, because I'm telling you, when I had my son, I only have one biological,
Mhm.
and they looked at me and was like, "So you ready to breastfeed?" I said, "With what? A nipple?" Because I don't have. I'm not like y'all. Better bring me a bottle. You know what I mean?
Something. That is
But
true.
a lot of women aren't able to breastfeed. So
Absolutely.
with mine, by his first 2 week check, he was almost 8 pounds when he came out.
Mm.
When by his first 2 week checkup, he was 15 pounds. And they
Wow.
was like, listen, I said, this is why I didn't breastfeed. I don't have enough breast to feed.
Oh, he was ready.
Yes. And he was walking by 6.5, 7 months. In between 6.5, 7 months, he was already up and gone.
Wow, sure. He had things to do, places to go.
Yeah, and still been running ever since. He's 20 now, and I can't keep up with him.
Oh my goodness. It's like it's crazy. I think one of the things that was helpful, because I knew that. I was very much aware of it. I told you, because I've worked so long with like children and families, I'm aware of how it works and everything. So one of the first things I did, I got myself a doula. And I felt like that helped. What she did, like we had like at least 3 or 4 meetings before I actually had my baby. And she would like talk to me and my husband about the different things. And she was helpful. She was there in the hospital room with me. I mean, it was, oh my goodness. Like, I mean, with my son and my daughter, it's like, it was more like a team experience. Within my first time, I had like in the room, let me tell you, I had my doula in the room. I had my husband. I had 2 of my sisters. The doula was just telling me, okay, like doing the breathing exercises with me. Actually, no, my husband was doing breathing exercises with me. The doula was massaging my hands because I had a natural birth.
Oh, bless
So
it.
yes. Well, I had a natural birth and a C-section.
Wait, what?
Well, yeah, because let me tell you. So, so yeah, so I kind of like, so I went through the whole thing. I started labor with no help, no like drugs or no anything, no pitocin, no epidural, none of that. So that's why I had a host of people in the room, and I had one sister massaging my feet. I had like 2 sisters and one of my massaging my feet. My husband helping me doing breathing exercises, and the doula massaging my hand. I had a whole team. I was prepared.
I'm over here picturing this.
It was like, it was crazy. It was insane. And we had some music in the background. And then they were starving me for like in like 24 hours, because when you're pushing, you said you cannot, in case there is an emergency C-section. Mm-hmm. And then my doula was like kind of like giving me a little sip of ice water, like a little ice in my mouth. So like to give me some strength, because if you try to push, you're hungry. Like, what are you pushing? Like, it's a lot of work. And she like snuck me a peanut, like one nut, like literally one nut here and there. So the nuts, so the doctors won't see it and stuff like that, just to give me some strength to push. So like I went through the whole thing, like, like it was just like, but one thing I found out, like giving massages in the bottom of your feet while you are having the contraction, it literally cut them in half.
Really?
Less, it did, like cut the contraction in half. Like there's a certain pressure point that was like the doula taught us that the pressure point in the bottom of your feet, and that helped. And that's why I was having people pushing that, like that's why I was able to survive through the whole thing. So I went through there, and I like went to all like dilated to like, I was like all the way dilated. My water broke, and then there was meconium in it, which was like the baby pooped. Meconium is like when the baby pooped inside of your belly. That happens when they're in distress.
Yeah.
And I think my contractions, they were so high, and that's why he was in distress. They were very, like, very high. Like when they were, because they put something measuring how much, how high it is, you're getting the contractions and stuff like that. And that's one of the reasons. And his heart rate dropped. So, and I was after my water broke, and I was like, oh, and I was like, oh, I feel like it's, how, like they said, like when you're going into labor, you feel like you have to poop when it's time to push.
Yes.
Yes. And I was like, I feel like, I feel like I need to poop. He's like, no, don't push. It was like, well, it's coming out. I feel like I need to poop. He's like, no. The baby's like the contractions are too high. And then because of the meconium and like in the water, they said they have to do an emergency C-section.
Wow.
So this is why I told people I went through a natural birth and a C-section. Because I did the whole thing. I was pissed. I was like, I worked so hard. And then at the end, I worked so hard. I did the whole thing. I went through all the pain and suffering.
So mine decided the best I got when he went into distress, because I was a high risk pregnancy, because I had a stroke when I was 21. Oh, wow. So they had me, on a high risk status or whatever. But when they told me I was going into labor, I laughed at them because I was still walking. I had the back labor pains, the lower back labor.
Oh, right. Those
for like 4 days. So finally,
you were going into labor. You just didn't know.
Did not know. And I kept doing the little pee-pee on myself. And I was like, man, why I keep peeing on myself?
Your water, it's like your water was breaking. Oh my God.
It was my water leaking. So I was out there mowing the grass. I was moving furniture. I was like, guy, you got to come out. So finally, when they did do the water bus the next morning, his umbilical cord was wrapped around him. So I kept asking for a cesarean. I was like, bro, just cut me open, get him out. No, at one point, my mother dropped my leg to answer the phone that was ringing in the room. It was a whole bunch of mess. But the best I got was they made me roll over on all fours. I'm snotting, crying. They put their hand in there and rotated him around.
That's right, because maybe he wasn't in the right position. Yes.
He was trying to go breech, and then the umbilical cord was wrapped around him. So
that is scary.
He gave me hell. But when he finally came out, I was like, I got that last crackhead strength in me. Did that last big push. And when he came out, my mom was holding him and she was like, oh, he's smiling. His eyes are wide open. And then he shat on her. I was like, that's why I didn't want to hold him when he first came out. I had a feeling because I have nieces and nephews.
Mother's intuition.
I saw what everybody else went through. So he sat on her first, not me. So I was good. But
it's crazy. But however, what I learned from that, I was like, the next time I was like, okay. I went in there, I was like, yeah, I know y'all gonna try to cut me open. It's like, let's just do this. Let's skip all the.
I don't want to go. I'm good.
I said, let's skip all that. Let's just go right through the C-section. We good. I just walked in and came in.
Write this book, my dear.
Yes. So, getting back to my book. So, like I said before, my name is Marthe Cherubin. I'm an author. I wrote last year. I wrote this book called "Mommy, Your Skin is Brown and Mine is Green." And then the subtitle is How to Talk to Toddlers About Different Skin Colors. So this book really was inspired by my son. He actually, the title is actually that's what he actually told me. So one night because he was about 3 years old, and he was just like, we were just doing our bedtime routine, the same thing we normally do. And he was just touching my arms. And also he was learning his colors. It was like, his colors, the basic colors. He was learning that. He was looking, he's like, Mommy, your skin is brown and mine is green. I was like, oh. I was like, really? It's like, yeah, it is. I was like, and I think this really, really sparked a whole conversation that I had with him. And I was like, and then it was the way he responded to it. He responded so well. I was like, wow, I wonder if other parents had the same experience as well.
Me, my son is biracial. And he asked me when he was about that same age as well, Mommy, why are you white? And I'm not, right? And so this book is a very great way for parents, because I think a lot of the way that this world is going, we already know that most of us are already mixed with everything under the sun anyway.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right. That's why I tell people all the time on my show, do your DNA test, my guy. Do your genealogy. Right. You're not, nobody is 100% of anything, right?
Absolutely. Because, we are a diverse world.
And it's getting more diverse, actually more noticeable diverse versus
Yes.
being separated or segregated or anything like that. We're more integrated. Society is more open to anything at this point. You still have your select ignorance out there, but
of course,
regardless, this book I have not seen. I wish I would have had this when my son was younger. But given the fact that I grew up in a mostly Black and brown family or a minority family, I already knew the answers to it, but not everybody does.
Exactly.
So this book is a great way for children, and it's on a children's level instead of an adult explaining it to them.
Absolutely.
When I read this book, I was like, oh man, I wish I would have had this.
Yes. And I think this is the part. I think a lot of the time it's like you might be exposed to it, but some people don't really know how to talk to children, because a lot of the time we are assuming till either they understand like a lot more than we think they do, or a lot less than we think they do. And a lot of the time, I think it's important to so for me, my approach is more like child-led approach. So it's like based on what he's exposed, certain things, of course, there are basic things they need to know. You tell them, but for the most part, it's really a child-led approach I have, where to kind of based on how, and the reason I'm able to do that, I know that is something that might be harder for some parents to do, because I am actually homeschooling him.
Oh, wow. So you have the teacher approach, not just the mother approach.
Yes, I had that because I'm homeschooling him. And also from my experience of working with children, in fact, I've ran like social skills group for young kids before. I do group therapy, one-on-one therapy. So this is my background, like in therapy. So right now I'm mainly focusing on with writing, because I'm writing a lot of other books as well. So I'm mainly focusing on that at this time, but my background is therapy. So that's what I've done a lot. So I think because of my background, it helped me really kind of navigate it to the way to kind of see more him. Because I feel like people, and I feel like children, they understand a lot more, but at the same time too, the way they see the world is just so interesting. And sometimes if we let them experience the world without all the negativity attached to it, and it'll be so much better for them as an adult to be able to see this. So this was like part of my approach to the book. And I think talking to him and like to see what he sees, because eventually I know a lot of the time people feel like, well, we got to tell him. I mean, like, I know this world. They're like, once he goes out there, people will be more than happy to tell him how different he is, how is this, how is that. I want him to be able to have that loving environment, or to be able to ask questions, to be able to answer those questions together with mommy, to see, like, to build that foundation for him. So when he's out there, he knows who he is. He doesn't need somebody to define him. He knows who he is. Like the fact that, oh, I'm confused, I don't know. No, of course you know who you are.
And that goes from, and I say this all the time as well, that everything starts at home, regardless.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yep, it's nature versus nurture, like you said earlier, right? So the nurturing part as the guardian or the adult in somebody's life, regardless if you have the teacher background or the counselor background or not, you have to have the understanding, like you said, this world, it can be very ugly, you know what I mean? And it's going to get worse before it gets better, especially the way that things are going right now. But I honestly believe that our children's generation is going to blossom, because they have that nurture before the nature to go out there and the world try to say something ugly or try to do something out of pure ignorance, because that's pretty much where it comes from.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know? And I think that being able to do that, like to be able to help. And I think it's important. A lot, unfortunately, like with a lot of parents, they have multiple children, they are busy, they have to work, they have to provide, they have to do all of this. It's harder. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's harder for them to do that. And that's why it's important when they have other resources, like something like a book where they could go to, like, they could help them like guide that conversation. Like, because
Yes.
sometimes they might know what to say, but I'm like, how do you start? Like, like you don't know. Sometimes they ask you questions, you don't know exactly what they know. Like, how much
You're
do
like,
you know? Like, do you know?
you know.
And I think that's why I use this child-led approach to see how much does he actually understand based on
Yeah.
why this is the reason why he's saying he's green. And I think even though I didn't really talk about that in the book, but one of the reasons why he's saying green, I think, especially young kids when they're like first born, they're very fair when they're
Yes.
first born and they are younger in there. And I think sometimes he probably was seeing his vein.
Yeah, that's what it made me think of when he said green, was the fact that, especially with like mine, I'm more of a bluish,
Mm-hmm.
but that was the first thing I looked at that was like, well, maybe he was looking at his vein at the time he said, but if he was around 3 years old and he's just learning his colors, that was the
Yes,
first color that popped in his mind also,
exactly.
They're
And then also, yeah,
innocent. They're
mhm,
so innocent.
absolutely. And people all the time, well, kids don't see color. Of course they do. They don't assign. I think the difference is kids understand color. They understand the differences. They see it. They have eyes, like they can see it. Now, the difference between what a kid they see, like a child, what it sees, or what an adult sees, it depends on the meaning they assign to what they're seeing. For them, like the kid, especially, unless somebody told them, well, this color is bad, this one is not bad, they don't know. They just know this is just different. And a lot of the time, if the kids is playing with them, they just move on.
Exactly.
They just
Exactly. I
move
wish
on.
adults could be more like that, but unfortunately, we haven't
Yeah, so
gotten
it's
that.
exactly, it's the adult assigning meaning to the differences. They're assigning, like, the differences between people and others, not the children.
America is the only country that actually bases things off of race. That's the part that gets me. We're the only country that really does that. And I'm not saying other countries don't know, well, you're pale. Like, why are you here? The only thing I know about pale is that y'all like to steal shit and come state claims. You know what I mean? So different countries have different approaches, but America is the only country that will really forcefully say, you are not this, you are not that, you fit in this box, in this category. And children, I agree with you, children don't see that. I saw it growing up, but I didn't care.
Well,
Right.
like that's the meaning you didn't have. You just see it different. Like, what does it means? Nothing to you. It's like, oh, okay. So you just moved on until somebody tells you this person who is different. They are wrong. They're bad. They're not good. Because like once the adults starting assigning like what it means, they
Yeah.
label those differences. They putting some kind of negative meaning like
Yeah.
behind it. Otherwise, the kids like they notice they're different. They will see it, but that they don't. It's not an issue for them. So if you
Exactly.
see a child so young doing like saying something, they usually heard it somewhere, either at home or in school or somewhere. They don't just, it's not something they really think about because it's not part of their, baseline really, unless somebody taught it to them.
Yes, everything is taught. Everything is taught. I am a firm believer in that. And this book, I promise you, and it to me. So my sister, well, my son's aunt, I call her my sister.
Mm-hmm.
My son's aunt is actually going to sit down with her grandbaby,
Mm-hmm.
which is, he is 2 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and she is going to show him the pictures and read it to him because it's not very extensive. It is short, to the point, and very easy to follow. So she's going to do a sit down with her grandbaby with your book and see, because
awesome.
His father's from Costa Rica. His mom is, American. So, but he sees the different tones, but I don't think he cares either. He knows I'm TT and that's it. That's all. Right.
Absolutely. And I think this is like the part, like the kids like aware of the differences, like it is. And I think explaining like one of the part in the book when explaining that is what happens. Sometimes your family, they're the same. Sometimes they're not. And that is okay.
And it comes with pictures. I don't want to point out the book, but it comes with some lovely little pictures. I don't know if you can see it. It's got pictures of him, but I'm not going to open the book. Y'all got to go buy it.
That's right. So yeah, it's actually, my niece is the illustrator for the book.
That's who that is?
Yes, that's my niece. She used a lot of them like pictures that actually took of us, and I gave to her to draw.
Oh my God. Well, she did a phenomenal job. I thought you used one of them little programs where you put the
No, none of that. No, she drew that. Like yes, she drew that. Like she did such a great job. I mean, I was so impressed by it. Like the way she captured all like the different, the body, the shapes, yeah, all of them are pictures I gave her. So like when I wrote the book, these are like the ideas and I had in my mind were like, pictures that I already had and like looked through them. I was like, yes, this will go there. This will go there. What can you do? And she was like, yeah, she did such an amazing job. So
She did. Now, does she have a website where other people can use her as an illustrator?
well, I think so. I don't have her details now, but I know right now she's super busy. She's in medical school and she's getting married next year. So she has no time.
She ain't got no time at all.
Yes, she doesn't have any time at all because right now I am also working on another book, which I talked to her because I'm like, oh, she's like, oh yeah. I mean, I said, I get it. I would have loved for her to illustrate it, but now I had to like go out and get somebody else. So far, I'm working with somebody. He seems to be pretty good. So we'll see. Yeah, I mean, the book is finished, the new book.
But this book, you're getting it transcribed into French, correct?
Yes, because I have, as I mentioned before, I'm Haitian and I speak Haitian Creole and French. And I have some friends who live in Canada, the French-speaking part of Canada, Quebec and Montreal, or in France or Paris or other places. So when I talk to them, they were like, I don't understand this. Can you like translate the book? Like they're interested, but they've told me that for like a year. They were telling me that different people at different time. And that one night I'm like, when I wasn't too exhausted, because the thing is like, I'm here, like basically I'm here with the kids, I'm writing the books and I'm like, breastfeeding. I am like, getting him like to all these activities that he does. And I'm teaching him, homeschooling him, doing all of this. By the end of the night, I was like exhausted. And just one night I just like started, I guess I had one good night's sleep.
You are a superwoman, my dear. You are doing the damn
It's not thing. Intentional. I was trying. It's not planned. I mean, it's happening. I can't. I'm like, it's not intentional. It just so happened. I'm like, that one night I had a good night's sleep. I was like, oh, I feel fresh.
For 5 minutes, you get 5 minutes.
Yes, I was like, oh yes, and I started and I translated the book. Like in that one sitting, I translated the book, and I also like what I did, and I also had, because even though I speak French and everything, but it's not something that I speak all the time. I speak with my friends sometimes. So after a while, I was just like, okay. So I had a few of my friends who I have one of my friends specifically. She's a teacher. Like she's a teacher in French. So I sent it to her to proofread it for me. I was like, okay. After I did, she was like, and she proofread it for me and everything. So which was great and excited about. But yeah, so definitely. So I think the title in French is Maman, ta peau est marron et la mienne est verte.
I didn't understand none of that. Mommy, your skin is brown and mine is green.
That's right. That's correct. That's the translation. So this is the one. So it's already been done. So it just it should be definitely before the end of the year. I think I was supposed to do it last month, but exhaustion and no time for myself prevented that from happening.
Definitely have to take some time for yourself at times.
Yes. So I think I know that, but sometimes it's hard to do because you just like, you have like tunnel vision of like, I want to do this, I want to do that. But I have started to, going back to like starting to exercise again a little bit more and trying to kind of get somebody to kind of at least like watch them when I'm out or like wanted to do something. So I'm starting with something.
Now, your husband is obviously very supportive. Does he tell you to sit your tail down sometimes too? Oh
yeah. See, actually, it's funny. You were saying like he would like he kept asking for like months. He told me like, go get a massage or something. So what he did, he called in and got me a membership for like a massage envy. I don't know if you like to kind of like, so I could go for a monthly massage. And then like after many encouragement, finally I got somebody to kind of come and babysit for like 3 times a week.
That is awesome.
So he's the one who's been, he's definitely very supportive. I try not to advertise it. People are like, oh yeah, I want to keep him to myself. So I say little or don't post much about it. I was like,
Yeah,
that's
no.
good.
But people, she is married to a very supportive individual, and he
Yes,
is
he is.
also on the cover of the book.
Yes,
So
he's actually that's him, my son, and myself.
that is awesome. And now, what is? I know you have a website because I did look it up.
Mhm.
What is your website?
My website is, of course, www.author, AUTHOR, my first name, Marthe, MARTHE, my last name, Cherubin, CHERUBIN.com. Author
And
Marthe.cherubin.com.
where can we find this lovely podcast? It's on YouTube. But what's
Yes.
the name of it?
The podcast is Things Nobody Tells You About with
That is
Marthe
awesome.
Cherubin. And
We
yes.
will have that. We will put that link on here as well because that is awesome.
And you can find my book on Amazon.
Yes, I found it on Amazon and it got here really quickly in a beautiful little package. I didn't know what it was at first because I was expecting like one of the mini books.
Yes.
I opened it up and I was like, I didn't order a notebook. I opened it up and I was like, oh, it's here.
Yes. Yes. And also, too, people can find me on Facebook and Instagram. On Facebook, I'm Author Marthe Cherubin. So
Yeah, and she's always talking on the HERShyt Show, so y'all can catch her in the comments as
that's
well.
right.
But make sure y'all go out there and support her because she is absolutely phenomenal. And this is my first time getting to see her face to face, even though
That's right. We talk online. It's like you meet like little people. You like people you like talk and chat online all the time, but finally have an actual face to face conversation, get to meet you in person and stuff. So I really truly appreciate talking to you. And you're so funny online too, and you're funny in person. I love it.
I look, I'm a natural clown. I really am. But this is not about the HERShyt Show. This is about you, my dear. So you said you wrote another book and it's done. Do you self-publish or do you have an? How do you do it?
Self-publish because I think it's so much easier. I do it with Amazon KDP.
Okay.
So I do it through Amazon because I find that it's easier to do. I mean, it's a bit harder into like marketing, but I feel like you get with there's a lot of, I feel like unless you're like a lot of the time, unless you're like already well known and everything, a lot of publishers, they don't really like little book like that. They might not want to take a chance on it, or it takes a long time. For me, I'm like, I have the ideas. I want it out now. So it's like, I think also it's like kind of like how I roll sometimes. When I'm ready to do something, I'm ready. Let's go. Are we doing this or what? You know? So like, let's do it. So this is how I am. So for me, like waiting 2-3 years for a book that I already wrote, things already here. I'm like, why? And I felt like I'm very grateful that we have platforms like Amazon KDP where we could publish a book, like independent or indie authors can publish books like that. I'm really grateful for that. Because of that, I feel like I'm working on a new book, which is my plan is to actually get that one published by January. Hopefully, if all the illustrations are done, it's a great book. It's fantastic. It's going to be a 3-part book. Like 3-volume, yes. Like the story, actually, I co-wrote it with my son. He's my inspiration. So the story it's like I co-wrote that, that book with my son. So he's gonna get the credit in there too.
So Ethan the Muse.
Yes,
Ethan,
he's my muse.
amazing. Yes. Absolutely love it. I try to give my son his own business at 16 for his 16th birthday, and that boy looked at me like I was stupid. So
you got to start him young, so they kind of like get used to it.
Listen, I was always gone. My generation was the combat generation, so I was gone so much. I was not able to have that extreme bond as you had. I did try homeschooling at one point. That didn't work out so well.
You need patience. It's not for like seriously. Homeschooling is not for everybody, and it's not for the it's like it's
you can
a lot of work.
You can say it. It's not for the weak. You can say it.
Yeah, so it's like it's a lot of work, and I think that like it is a sacrifice. And I think what happens, I have been working on I've worked at a school, like because a part of like my career, I've worked in different schools with like,
Okay.
where I've worked in, I've done outpatient programs where they had kids, the program where the kids who had severe behavior at home or at school, and they send them to the program outpatient where they're there. So on site, they had like the therapists, they had nurses, psychiatrists,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and teachers on site. Like I've seen all of this, like all of that. And then I've worked at other schools, like, like therapeutic schools. I've worked at regular schools. I've worked at poor schools, rich schools. And I'm like, no thanks.
You was ready to do your own thing, but you were
Yeah.
doing
So I think
some.
based on my experience, really, and I have like a million reasons. I have so many reasons why I'm homeschooling. That's one of them. And I have so much more reason. I think my experiences in different schools and the idea is like the dreams and hopes I have for my son also. And then like, and I'm grateful I have a supportive husband who actually was on board. I mean, I knew I was going to homeschool him before we had him. So yeah, well, I knew that. So he was on board, he's with it, and stuff like that. And I love the flexibility. Yes.
So I can totally see you being the head of the household, so to speak, and be like, listen. So I know we said we were going to discuss things, however, comma. This is the plan that I have.
That's right. Me. I'm like, I'm a plan. I plan things. I have like the things like, okay, I have like bullet points and everything. So
You and my sister Mackenzie, mindful is mindful Mackenzie. I promise you, y'all two are just, you remind me so much of my little sister that is, because she's same way. She's like, listen, I know we said, but what I have, and
that's right. We got plans. We got things to do.
unless you can come at me with a better plan,
that's
this
right.
is what we're gonna do.
We stay ready. You know what I'm saying? We stay ready.
Absolutely love it. Now, do you have anything to add to the people out there about either your book or any advice that you may have for mothers or parents that are homeschooling? Like any advice like that?
Well, I think when it comes to one of the things, I think for the advice, I think I would love for them to check out my podcast, Things Nobody Tells You About. I think it gives you an idea of like what, just how to navigating pregnancy. I think just women to be able to, I'm a big proponent of women supporting women. I am like, people are talking feminist. I don't know what that is. All I know that I support people. Yeah. I support good people. I support people who are doing good work. And I support people who's there, who are for the betterment of others. And that's that's who I support. I will go with you. So I don't really like, I'm a very outspoken, very like
no.
So it's like, for me, it's like when I believe in things, I believe in fairness. Like, this is me. I'm like, I'm a very optimistic person as well. So that's why I got plans. I got to do this. And I'm like, okay, something doesn't work. Great. All right. What's the next plan? Let's move on. Like, for me, I don't tend to regret things because I always do the best I can in the moment.
You're an optimist, but you're also a realist.
There you go. Absolutely. Yeah. So,
and you're very passionate about the potential that you see. Mm-hmm. And I just gathered this between our last little 45-minute conversation, 30-minute conversation, and what we discuss online, because we do go back and forth quite a bit. Yeah. But I see the passion, I see the caring in this book that you wrote with your Ethan Muse. And I'm quite sure your daughter's going to slide in there somewhere in the near future, because she going to be a whole different ball game. But I'm ready for it. I told my sister.
She's going to be ready. She, like, with her, she understood. Like, I felt like she was born and she understood the assignment. This girl, we taking the pictures of the baby. She's like, she's posing for the picture. Like, she understood. I was like, you know what? You really are my daughter. You get it. You get it. She understood the assignment, and let me tell you, she comes prepared. She's a baby. She's so far. I'm like, you get it, baby. You get it.
So you gave birth to a you. So in about 5 years, we're going to do another interview.
I say one, because baby girl is ready. She is ready. She is ready to go. But however, like, I have the I also am working on an adult book, which I put on pause, an adult novel. Actually, it's a science fiction adult novel I've been working on as well. With this one, it's like I'm hoping so because there's so much, detail. It's a combination of sci-fi, history, and also different. It's like intertwined. It's a very exciting book. I was writing it and I was excited about it, and I read it to my husband. He was like, oh, "I love it."
So you love a challenge and you love the research, because in order to write books, you have to especially have a twist of history in it. You're going to have to look at the day. Was it sunny? Was it cloudy? Was it windy? Was it?
Mm-hmm. So one of the things I do, I guess, an advice, what I do, let's say if I, because I'm like always like looking and reading, researching. If I see something like it's on my phone, I do a quick screenshot so I could go back and read it and see, so I could use it as inspiration for later.
I thought I was the only one that did that.
Oh, I do that. I was like, oh yeah, that's good information. Or I hear something in the news. It's like, oh, the date, the time, and I just like do it because I'm like to go back. Like I felt like before it was so much easier for me to remember things, but with like, with a, like older toddler and then a baby, if I don't write it down, it never happened, never existed. It's gone.
That's mommy brain. That's mommy brain.
So I was like, I have to be quick because otherwise I forget. Like, it's like, I don't know. If it has nothing to do with the kids, I don't remember.
Oh, please check this phenomenal woman of strength out. She is, again, on Instagram. She is also on Amazon. Get her book, Mommy, Your Skin is Brown and Mine is Green. She's also getting it it's translated, but she's going to be publishing it in French. Yes. So it can be worldwide, so to speak, especially in Florida.
Yes, and I have a new children's book coming.
A new children's book coming, possibly in January.
Yeah, possibly January.
She's going to be having a novel come out, and that I'm ready for the adulting stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. Because I've been getting so much. It's like your brain. There's so much happening at once, and I'm like, okay, all right. So I put a pin on that, the adult one, because I was able to in terms of like, how like writers for me, because I'm doing so much like all the time, and I'll get a burst of thing. I just sit down and just like, I wrote that book in like both books. I wrote them at one sitting. And then I do like editing later.
Wow.
It just comes out. I have a lot, like I said, when I'm ready, I'm ready. It's like, I don't play it like around. I'm like, dude, don't waste my time. I'm ready. Let's do this. I'm fun. I enjoy this and that, but when it's time, it's time. We got to move on. What time is it? Let's do it.
Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. But also go check her out on YouTube, right? She does have a phenomenal, because a lot of women do not know. So she does give the tidbits. Her background is in counseling. It's not just something that she came out of the side of her neck with, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
She has the experience. She is a mother. She is a wife. Mm-hmm. And she's went through 2 different types of pregnancies. So she's
very different.
She can elaborate on those things, and also some tidbits of what to bring up to your doctors, and to get a doula or not, so just reach out.
I would totally say doula. I mean, I was like, she was worth it, and I felt like, especially as a first-time mom, like a doula, I think she helped made the experience less scary for me and my husband.
I should have had one of them, but I was moving around too much during mine. I was working 3 doggone jobs, just got out of the military the first time and had no clue what was going on. All I knew was I was having a baby in 9 months.
One quick thing I want to say, like, it actually makes absolutely no sense that you came out of the military, that they don't have a job lined up for you. That should be every single, I mean, I know it's a touchy subject here, but I felt like every single person who actually served our country, I felt like they should have some kind of, based on their skill level, some kind of job, like whether it's entry level, it doesn't matter, lined up for them. Now, if they choose to stay or leave, that's up to them. But I feel like it should be part of that contract they have with them starting up. I mean, if anybody want to know, I'll help you write up that contract, that policy. We'll get to that.
That's a whole nother topic that we can do, because that is something that the military has started getting better with the programs. But again, that's going to be a whole nother show. So I would love to have you back just to get your thoughts on a civilian aspect when it comes down to that, because that's from the outside looking in and me from the inside looking out. So
absolutely. We could do that.
Y'all heard it here. We're going to make that happen. But
you better believe it.
until next time, my dear,
Absolutely.
this has
Thank
been
you.
an
It's been,
absolute pleasure.
yes, likewise.
Mwah.
Have a wonderful day. Bye,
You-
everyone.
Be sure to log on to youtube.com and subscribe to the HERShyt Show at TheherShyt SHOW.